snot's making some proper noise, eh? Way louder than that last git they didn't even blow up the amps. Oi, who's them soggers over there? And why's that git staring at me all funny like? Hold up, I just heard that runt say their trucks is faster than ours. That's it, lads. We's off for a proper crumpet. Get ready to bash some skulls.
My name's Oliver, and today I'm joined by my brother Joseph.
Hello.
And we are going to paint up and play Gorkamorka like it is 1997.
This is a trip down memory lane, a nod to what many consider the golden era of Warhammer. We're talking about Gorkamorka. Released in 1997, the game is centered around the Orks, a brutal and chaotic alien race stranded on the desert planet Angelus. After their space hulk crashes, the Orks construct ramshackle vehicles and form factions to scavenge resources and dominate the wasteland. Players control Ork warbands, led by a knob, racing, battling and looting in fast-paced skirmishes. The game blends vehicle combat with infantry clashes, capturing the Orks' wild anarchic nature as they worship their twin gods, Gork, brutal yet cunning, and Mork, cunning but brutal.
So Gorkamorka was a game we played about nearly 30 years ago, right? 27 years ago now, when we were but young youths, and now we are old knobs.
Old knobs.
Yeah. I remember playing this years ago. We got the box set and a couple of the extra bits. You had like a metal biker dude and a spat.
Yeah, that's right.
Knobs and then you got the helicopters, the deathcopters,
And the youths and the grots.
it was great. Right? It was a really fun game.
Yeah, you just can't take it seriously. That's the idea behind it.
The main thing was like intentionally driving a truck off a cliff, or you know those like raised barricade things, and you drive your truck off that
And it lands on the truck and squishes all the boys on top. I remember that.
What was the rule? Like you drive your truck around, and if the dude falls off the back, you get as many boys as you can, literally physically fit onto the back of a truck.
So if you just like move it, they've fallen off. Yeah, I'll be honest, putting them all together and like getting them all to work again, like in all the bits, was very nostalgic.
Having them sprayed up feels like the paint is better than the work.
Yeah.
So we'll have a game, we'll have a bit of fun with it, and we'll see how we end up.
Now, I was fortunate enough to get my hands on a near complete set. Joe and I then sat down and built all of the miniatures and the vehicles. I gave the vehicles a spray with lead belcher over black, and then sprayed the Orks up with black and a grey zenithal from above. We only had a couple of days to get these things ready and painted, and I didn't want to rush them or do a bad job, so I figured we'd best get started. Building an Ork warband is a core part of the game. There are two types of mobs you can choose from, each with its own playstyle. Gorkas, they worship Gork, the god of strength and direct smashy combat, or Morkas, they follow Mork, the trickier, more cunning Ork god. You start with a pool of teeth, Ork currency, to spend on recruiting your warband and equipping them as you like. You'll need to hire units like Knobs, your leader, boys, youths, Gretchen and spanners, as well as buy vehicles to get around and fight. As we know, Orks love their gear, so spending your teeth wisely on weapons, armor and vehicle upgrades is crucial to building the right warband for you. As your warband plays more games, they'll gain experience points, find valuable scrap and unlock new abilities, allowing them to grow and evolve over time. This is honestly one of the most exciting parts of Gorkamorka, as your mob gets tougher, or maybe not, and more dangerous after every battle. With the warbands picked out, it's time to get onto the painting. Joe went down the army painter speed paint route and used the Ork flesh. This gave us a great coverage. It may have been better to have given it a white zenithal to make it a little brighter, but for the time put in, you get a smooth and clean finish. I, on the other hand, could not help myself but crack out the old Goblin Green, the 1994 paint set, the original, the OG, the master of Ork skin. Now, I'm not going to show you the individual paints used throughout every model, how we did every single bit, because to be honest, we popped down to the pub to break it up, came back and decided against filming all of it. But if you want to see how these old paints work, do make sure to check out the video painting Warhammer using the 1994 paint set. With the last few details done, just filling in the bits and bobs, we sat there, had a chat, discussed our Ork names and warbands, and then got ready to rumble. Painting these classic models was a real pleasure. There's just something satisfying about their simplicity. They're not overly detailed, making it easy to distinguish what's what. Plus, there's less pressure to make them look like award-winning masterpieces, which lets you enjoy the whole process even more. In the end, our two warbands turned out completely differently. Joe has always been a much faster painter than me, and while I tend to take my time, everything I do takes more than twice as long. It's always fascinating to see how differently people approach their work. Now that both warbands are finished, the boys are finally ready. With the band still rocking out in the background, they leap into their trucks and fire up the engines. Gorkamorka plays smoothly, though with a bit of silliness, as it pulls most of its core mechanics from Warhammer 40,000 2nd edition, which was the current one at the time. We set up the board by placing scrap counters for our boys to fight over and collect, adding an extra layer of reward after the dust settles. Starting about 24 inches apart, all of our models were mounted on trucks, a central feature of this game, allowing us to jump straight into the chaos of vehicle and weapon rules. This game loves its modifiers. It loves modifiers, charts, and plenty of math, true to the Warhammer tradition. Joe actually got the early upper hand with some well-placed shots from the truck, taking out one of my orcs quite early on. As the battle progressed, we eventually clashed in brutal close combat. This is where things got a little tricky, as we had to check the rules a few times due to the complex melee modifiers. Especially with our warbands being relatively evenly matched, every modifier mattered. It's then that the big boys made it into combat.
Okay, we're at a pretty pivotal point. I thought it was time for a headshot. It is knob on knob action. I'm trying so hard not to talk like an East Londoner, because that's what we've been doing for that.
Let's get bashing.
Crumping. So we've got knob on knob. It's
Nosmot Nosebitzer.
against Knob Gobbler. It's a D6 plus weapon skill. You get plus up for charging. Roll the dice. What's that?
Equal.
Equals.
Them's the same, these are.
Equals is boring. Roll again.
Rolls that again.
There we go. Oh, I get
Ooh.
10 against 8. I get 2 hits through to you. Strength versus something is 5 to wound you. I do 1 wound. Armor save is 6 worth of studied armor. It doesn't save it. And then it's onto the injury chart. So 6 basically kills you.
No, 6 is okay. 1
No, 6 kills you. 1 to 2, you're okay, a bit with minus weapon skill. And 3 to 5, you stay alive. It is a 1. A measly 1 on the rolls. Checking out the charts, because that's what this game likes. Flesh wound. Fights on at minus 1 weapon skill and ballistic skill. That's it. The
Don't
big-
hurt me, that don't. I'm hard.
knob
I'm hard, I am.
Use be hard.
The battle raged on for several more turns. Both warbands ended up getting a considerable battering from the other one, until eventually my lads decided they've had enough of this one. This gave us the perfect opportunity to do the best part of this game. I know Joe and I both love this, that is leveling up the warbands. You gain experience for doing all sorts of things in the game, and then once you hit a certain experience point level, you then get to level up your stats. There is nothing better than getting +1 strength, attack, wound or toughness on one of your wonderful, wonderful orcs. And with that, we'll catch back up and let you know how we got on.
I really enjoyed that. It literally felt like when we were younger.
Yeah, it actually does. Like, it's an opportunity to film this kind of board with these kinds of models, painted up how they are now. We did those models like in like 2 days, whatever it's been.
It's not even that. Yeah.
And, you know, it's just, this was a dream as a kid.
Yeah. We didn't have scenery like this back in 1997, I think it was. The opportunity to be able to come and play it on this board and paint up the set again from almost basically new. You've seen them where they were. That's not going to happen probably ever again in our lifetimes. So
Well, trying to relive it with you, really, right?
Yeah.
We played loads of this as kids, this and more time. It's just fun. It's a bit silly, right? And it's 2nd edition Warhammer 40,000 condensed into some sort of weird Mad Max land. I lost the game 5, but we both won the war of life. And I think our knobs just decided,
he's all right, isn't he?
he's all right.
Let's get some grog.
Yeah, and now we're probably going to play a few more games in the campaign. We did the best bit.
Yeah.
Leveling up.
Best part of any game is all the leveling up. Like, I've got what? I've got loads of teeths. I've got another 80 XP. My mob rating's gone up.
I've really enjoyed it, Joe, and it's been lovely to have you back over really doing this kind of stuff.
Thank you for sharing this one with me. It's literally like being children again, and I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Literally did this.
And I hope you guys have enjoyed it. If you played this back in the day, let me know what you thought of the game then. If you haven't played it before and you think, that's kind of cool, I recommend giving it a go.
A massive thank you to Joe for flying over to Ireland and playing some Gorkamorka with me. If you want to check out more videos or support the channel, do check out all of the links down below. There's links to my shop, Patreon, Discord, and you can also watch some videos now on how we built the board and how we used the old paints.